Here we discuss the general transmission line equations. In the last class we have seen the transmission line equations for a parallel plate transmission line. But here we derive the general transmission line equations are applicable for any general two-conductor uniform transmission lines like a parallel plate, two wire and coaxial lines. So these equations can be applicable for all these type of transmission lines. So we have seen that in the case of a parallel plate transmission line, we have distributed parameters like resistance per unit length, inductance per unit length, conductance per unit length and capacitance per unit length. So these quantities will be there for any general transmission line, but the expressions will be different for different sets. The expressions we have derived earlier is for the parallel plate transmission line. So for two wire and coaxial, the expression for R, L, G and C will be different. But for any two conductor transmission line, R, L, G and C will be there, but their expressions are different. So before going to the derivation of general transmission line equation, we just find out the difference between an ordinary electrical network and a transmission line. Electrical network and a transmission line. The first one is that for an ordinary electrical circuit or network, the dimension is very small. Small dimension. So the dimension is small compared to the operating wavelength. For transmission lines, the dimension is large and it is comparable to the operating wavelength. The second difference is that the circuit elements of the ordinary network are discrete and they can be explained with the help of lumped parameters. So the discrete parameters, resistance, capacitance, etc. are discrete, and the current flowing in this lumped circuit element will not vary spatially with the element. So as the length of the circuit changes, the current does not change. So and therefore there are no standing waves exist in an ordinary electrical network. But for a transmission line is a distributed parameter network. So they are explained by distributed parameters. So the distributed parameters are distributed throughout the length. So we define resistance per unit length, capacitance per unit length and all. And for the length L, the total resistance is R into L. So the resistance is distributed throughout the length. Capacitance, inductance and conductance are also distributed throughout the length of the transmission line. So they are described by distributed parameters. So therefore standing waves do exist in a transmission line. So except under matching, standing waves exist. There is only one condition that the standing waves does not exist in transmission line, that is matching. So for all other conditions other than impedance matching, there will be standing waves present. So in the transmission lines, the current flowing vary spatially over the elements. So these are the difference between an ordinary electrical network and a transmission line. So now we can derive the general transmission line equations. For that, consider a small length or differential length delta z of a transmission line described by the four parameters R, which is the resistance per unit length of both the conductors. So the resistance is defined for the conductors and inductance per unit length of both the conductors. So the resistance is in ohm per meter and the inductance is in Henry per meter. So then the conductance per unit length for the dielectric medium in between. G is defined for the dielectric medium and the capacitance per unit length is also defined for the dielectric medium. So in the conductance per unit length is having a unit Siemens per meter and the capacitance per unit length is having a unit Farad per meter. So those R and L are for the conductors and they form series elements, and G and C are for the dielectric medium in between, so they form parallel or shunt elements. The figure shows the equivalent electric circuit of the line segment having length delta Z of a two conductor transmission line. So this is a very small length delta Z, and here R and L act as the series elements because they are defined for the conductors, and G and C act as the shunt or parallel elements because they are defined for the dielectric medium in between the conductors. So the total resistance of this line segment is R into delta Z. R is resistance per unit length. R into length of this line gives the total resistance of the line segment. This is not a transmission line as a whole. This is the small segment of a transmission line. So the inductance is L into delta Z. L is the inductance per unit length and delta Z is the length. So this is the total inductance of this line segment. G into delta Z is the conductance of this line segment, and C into delta Z is the capacitance of the line segment. So here V of ZT denote the instantaneous voltage at Z, and V of Z plus delta Z comma T represent the instantaneous voltage at Z plus Z delta Z. So this is the point Z. So this starts from the point Z and this is having a length delta Z, and we have seen that for a transmission line which is having distributed parameters, so the current and voltage vary spatially. So they are the functions of spatial distance, and similarly I of ZT represent the instantaneous current at Z, and I of Z plus delta Z comma T represent the instantaneous current at Z plus delta Z. So this is the point Z plus delta Z and this is the point Z. So now we can apply Kirchhoff's voltage law for this loop. So starting from here and ending here. Applying KVL, we get V of ZT minus the potential over the resistance. The resistance is R into delta Z. So R delta Z into I of ZT. I of ZT is the current over here. I of ZT minus the potential over the inductance is L into di by dt. L is L into delta Z into di by dt. So since the current is the function of two variables, we take dou by dou t of I of ZT minus V of Z plus delta Z comma T equal to 0. Now we can rearrange the terms to get minus of V of Z plus delta Z comma T minus will become plus. So V of ZT equal to delta Z is a common factor, delta Z into R into I of ZT plus L into dou I by dou T. So dividing both sides by delta z, we get, so delta z here cancels and we will get an equation like this. Now we apply the limit delta z tends to 0. In the limit delta z tends to 0, this is nothing but minus dou v of zt by dou z. So as delta z tends to 0, this is v of z plus delta z minus v of z. So this is nothing but the derivative of v with respect to z. So since v is a function of both z and t, so this is the partial derivative and there is a negative sign over here. So we get r into I of zt plus L into dou by dou t of I of zt. So this is termed as equation number 1. So now we can apply the Kirchhoff's current law to the node n, this node n of the figure. So we get, applying KCL, that is the net current over a node 0, we get I of zt minus the current through this conductance and minus the current through this capacitance minus I of z plus delta z t equal to 0. So the current through the conductance is the potential divided by resistance. The potential can be taken as either V of zt or V of z plus delta zt. So the by resistance. So the here 1 over R is the conductance. Resistance is the reciprocal of conductance. So by R gives into G of delta Z. So G of delta Z, V of Z plus delta Z T minus then the current through the capacitance I equal to dq by dt. D is Q is CV. So it's C into dV by dt. So C, the capacitance of this line segment is C into delta Z into dou by dou t of V of Z plus delta Z comma t minus I. So there are 4 currents, 1, 2, 3, 4 at this node, minus I of Z plus delta Z comma t equal to 0. So rearranging this equation we get minus of I of Z plus delta Z comma t minus I of Z t equal to delta Z into G of G into V of Z plus delta Z comma t C into dou V by dou t. So V can be taken as a function of Z comma t or Z plus delta Z comma t. You get the same results for both cases. So now dividing by delta Z, we get this. So now applying the limit delta Z tends to 0, we get this is nothing but a minus dou by dou Z of I of Z comma t. So this is equal to, so in the limit delta Z tends to 0, this is G into V of Z plus delta Z is Z itself, Z comma t plus C into dou by dou t of V of zt. So this is termed as equation number 2. So this equation number 1 and 2 are called the general transmission line equations. So they are a pair of first order partial differential equations in V of zt and I of zt. So they are given by my dou by dou z of I of zt equal to G into V of zt plus C into dou by dou t of V of zt and minus dou by dou z of V of zt equal to R into I of zt plus L into dou by dou t of I of zt. So these are the general transmission line equations. Now for the time harmonic case, where the voltage and current vary sinusoidally with respect to time. So we can use phasors. So the use of phasors simplify the transmission line equations into ordinary differential equations. Now we have partial differential equations, but we know that the phasors are independent of time. And for cosine reference, we can write the instantaneous expression for voltage as real part of the phasor V of z into e to the power j omega t. And the instantaneous expression for I, the current, is equal to real part of I of z e to the power j omega t, where capital V of z and capital I of z are phasors, and they are the functions of the coordinate z alone, and they are independent of time. So here we take the real part since we are using cosine reference. So using the phasor notation, those two equations 1 and 2 reads, so instead of minus dou I of z t by dou z, we can use minus di by dz, since I is a function of z alone. So similarly, instead of minus dou v of z t by dou z, we can use minus dv by dz, since v is a function of z alone. So they are functions of spatial coordinates alone, and the ordinary differential equations can be used. So the equation number 1 becomes minus d by dz of v of z is equal to r into I of z plus dou by dou t in phasor notation is written as j omega. So j omega L into I of z. So taking I of z as a common factor, we can write d by dz of v of z is equal to r plus j omega L into I of z. So this is equation number 3. So similarly, equation number 2 can be written as minus d by dz of I of z is equal to g into v of z plus dou by dou t is again j omega c into v of z. So simplifying, taking v of z as a common factor, d by dz of I of z is equal to g plus j omega c into v of z. So this is equation number 4. So these equations 3 and 4 are called the time harmonic transmission line equations for the general case, the general time harmonic transmission line equation. These equations are valid for any two conductor transmission line, whether it is lossy or lossless. When the transmission line is lossless, the conductance per unit length and the resistance per unit length are zeros. So the equations number 3 and 4 reads minus dv by dz is equal to j omega Li, and minus di by dz is equal to j omega Cv, where I is a function of z and V is another function of z. So these are the transmission line equations for a lossless media, and we have derived this equation for the parallel plate transmission line. So these equations are true for a parallel plate, 2-wire and coaxial transmission line under lossless condition. If the lines are lossy, we have to use equations 3 and 4 instead, which are the general transmission line equations, which are given by minus dv by dz is equal to r plus j omega L into I, and minus di by dz is equal to g plus j omega c v. We can see that these two equations are coupled. They contain both I and v. So in order to solve these two equations, we have to decouple these equations. That means we have to get an equation for I alone and an equation for v alone. From equation number 3, I of z can be written as 1 over r plus j omega L into minus dv of z by dz. So substitute this in equation number 4, we get minus d by dz of I of z. I of z can be written as 1 over r plus j omega L into minus will be plus dv of z by dz equal to g plus j omega c v of z. So taking r plus j omega L to the right side, we get d by dz of dv by dz, d square v by dz square, r plus j omega L into g plus j omega c v of z. So similarly, we can get an expression for I of z. For that, we have to write v of z from equation number 4 and substitute in equation number 3. Then we get d square I of z by dz square is equal to r plus j omega L into g plus j omega c I of z. So this is a homework for you. Please do this. And we can see that these two equations are coupled, and we can call this constant as gamma square. So those equations become d square v of z by dz square is equal to gamma square v of z, and d square I of z by dz square is equal to gamma square I of z, where gamma is equal to root of r plus j omega L into g plus j omega c. So it is the propagation constant. So the real part of the propagation constant is called alpha and the imaginary part is called beta. So gamma can be written as alpha plus j beta. So where alpha is the attenuation constant in upper per meter and beta is the phase constant in radians per meter. So we use the same nomenclature for the plane wave propagation in the lossy medium, unbounded medium, not guided medium. Use the parameters. So we use alpha and beta. But these quantities are called phase constant and the attenuation constant, but they are not really constants because they depend on the frequency omega. Even though they are called constants, they are not constants. So initially we have the general transmission line equations which are coupled, and we have decoupled the equation. The decoupled equations are called equations 5 and 6. So and it is very easy to solve those equations since these are the equations of single variables. So the solution of equation number 5 is given by E of z is equal to V0 plus e to the power minus gamma z plus V0 minus e to the power plus gamma z, where V0 plus and V0 minus are two constants. So it's an ordinary differential equation and the solution is very simple. So similarly, the solution of equation number 6 can be written as I of z is equal to I0 plus e to the power minus gamma z and I0 plus I0 minus e to the power gamma z. So here I0 plus and I0 minus are constants. And this can be written as V plus of z since this represents a wave traveling in positive z direction, and this can be written as V minus of z since it represents a wave traveling in negative z direction. Similarly, this can be written as I plus of z. So this represents a wave traveling in positive z direction, and this can be represented as I minus of z, which represents a wave traveling in a negative z direction. So the wave amplitudes of the wave traveling along positive z direction is V0 plus and I0 plus and V0 plus. And the wave, for the wave traveling along negative section, the wave amplitudes are given by V0 minus I0 minus. So they are related, and we have to find out the relationship between them with the ratio of the amplitude of the voltage wave to the current wave V0 plus, which are traveling along positive z direction. So for that we have to use the equations 3 and 4. So substitute V equal to V0 plus e to the power minus gamma z plus V0 minus e to the power plus gamma z. In equation number 4 we get minus d by dz of V0 plus e to the power minus gamma z plus V0 minus e to the power gamma z is equal to r plus j omega L I0 plus e to the power minus gamma z plus I0 minus e to the power gamma z. So taking derivative with respect to z, we get gamma V0 plus e to the power minus gamma z minus gamma V0 minus e to the power plus gamma z equal to r plus j omega L into I0 plus e to the power minus gamma z plus I0 minus e to the power gamma z. Now equating the coefficients of e to the power minus gamma z, we get gamma V0 plus is equal to r plus j omega L I0 plus. So V0 plus by I0 plus is equal to r plus j omega L by gamma. So similarly, equating the coefficient of e to the power plus gamma z, we get minus gamma V0 minus is equal to r plus j omega L into I0 minus. So V0 minus by I0 minus equal to minus of r plus j omega L by gamma. So V0 plus by I0 plus is equal to minus of V0 minus by I0 minus. So this is the relation between the amplitudes of the voltage and current wave. So similarly from so this is obtained from equation number 3. So similarly we can have a relationship from equation number 4 also, where V0 plus by I0 plus equal to gamma divided by G plus j omega C. So that is equal to minus of V0 minus by I0 minus. So verify this relation. So this is an assignment for you. Now the wave characteristics on infinite transmission lines. So here we have seen the finite transmission lines. So therefore there are incident wave and reflected wave. That means the wave traveling along positive z direction as well as negative z direction. So but if the line is an infinite line or a semi-infinite line with a source at one end, and the transmission line extends up to infinity, so then there is no reflected wave. So the term containing e to the power gamma z in the expression for v of z and I of z vanish. So there will be only v plus of z, v minus of z equal to 0. V minus of z is v0 minus e to the power gamma z as the wave traveling along negative z direction will be 0 since there are no reflected waves. So there will be only wave traveling along the positive z direction. V0 plus e to the power minus gamma z represent the wave traveling along positive z direction. So the expression for I of z is similarly the wave traveling along positive z direction. So this is true only if the transmission line is infinite in extent. So we have I0 plus e to the power minus gamma z. So now we have already seen that V0 plus by I0 plus is equal to R plus j omega L by gamma, or gamma divided by G plus j omega C. So V0 minus by I0 minus will not be there, only this thing. So you can verify this by substituting V of z and I of z in equation number 3 and 4. So now the ratio of the voltage and current at any z for an infinitely long transmission line is called the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. So, and it is represented by the letter Z0. So, Z0 is equal to V0 plus by I0 plus, and we can see that this ratio is independent of the distance Z. Z0, V is a function of Z, I is a function of Z, but the characteristic impedance Z0 is independent of Z. So, whatever be the distance from the source, then even then the characteristic impedance is same. So, the characteristic impedance at this point or at a point which is at a very large distance from the source are same. So, Z represent the distance of the transmission line from the source end. We know that gamma is equal to root of R plus j omega L into root of G plus j omega C. So, substituting gamma in either of those equations, we get Z0 as Z0 is equal to R plus j omega L by root of R plus j omega L into G plus j omega C. So, we get this root of R plus j omega L and root cancels, and we have a root of R plus j omega L by G plus j omega C. So, the characteristic impedance depends on R, L, G and C. Similarly, the propagation constant also depends on R, L, G and C. So, the gamma and Z0 are the characteristic properties of the transmission line. So, whether the transmission line is infinitely long or not. So, they depend on R, L, G and GC and omega, and they are independent of the length of the transmission line. So, whether the transmission line is finite in length or infinite in length, gamma and Z0 will be there. They are constants. They are independent of length. So, an infinitely long transmission line means there are no reflected waves. Only wave passing along positive Z direction is there, and the wave passing along negative Z direction is absent. If the line is infinitely long, V of Z is equal to V0 plus e to the power minus gamma Z, and I of Z is I0 plus e to the power minus gamma Z, and ratio of the voltage and current is equal to the ratio of the amplitudes, which is equal to Z0. So, that is the only difference. So, if the line is not infinitely long, then V of Z by I of Z not equal to Z0. V0 by I0 is Z0, but V of Z by I of Z is not Z0. So, that is the difference. But for an infinitely long transmission line, the ratio of voltage to the current at any z. We have said I of z is a constant and independent of z. So that is the characteristic impedance Z0. So for a finite transmission line, Z0 is there, but Z0 is not the ratio of voltage to the current at any Z. But for an infinite transmission line, characteristic impedance is equal to the ratio of voltage to current at any Z. And characteristic impedance is there for finite as well as infinite transmission lines, and it is equal to the ratio of voltage to the current at any z when it is infinitely long. And now we discuss some special cases. We have seen that the propagation constant gamma, which is equal to alpha plus j beta for a general transmission line, is given by root of r plus j omega L into g plus j omega c. And the intrinsic impedance is equal to root of r plus j omega L by g plus j omega c. They are complicated expressions. So for some special cases, these equations will be simplified. So now we discuss those special cases, and the first one is that for a lossless transmission line. Lossless transmission line. So a lossless transmission line is characterized by R equal to 0 and G equal to 0. Resistance per unit length and conductance per unit length are 0 for a lossless transmission line, since it have conductors of infinite conductivity and a dielectric medium which is perfect, that means zero conductivity. So for such a medium, R and G are zeros, only L and C are present. So the propagation constant gamma is equal to root of 0 plus j omega L multiplied by 0 plus j omega c. So that is equal to j square omega square LC root. So that is j omega root LC. So we know that the propagation constant is alpha plus j beta. So alpha plus j beta is j omega root LC. So comparing real and imaginary parts, we can see that alpha equal to 0. There is no real part for this. And beta is equal to omega root LC. So the attenuation constant is 0 and the phase constant is a linear function of omega. So now we can calculate the phase velocity. Phase velocity is equal to omega by beta. So omega by beta is being substituted from here, 1 over root LC. So it's a constant independent of omega. And the characteristic impedance for this case, Z0. Z0 can be written as a real part of Z0's resistance, impedance is resistance, and the imaginary part is reactance. So Z0 in this case is equal to, so in this expression for Z0 we have R0. So j omega L divided by 0 plus j omega C. J omega cancels, which is root of L by C. So it's a constant, and we can see that it has got real part only. So the characteristic impedance is resistive in nature, since it has got real part only. So there is no reactance. So it is not reactive but resistive, since the uh, real part of the impedance is root L by C and the imaginary part is 0. So comparing this, R0 is root L by C and X0 is 0. So it is resistive in nature. So for a lossless transmission line, the attenuation constant is not there and only phase constant. That means the wave travel without any attenuation, and the phase velocity is independent of omega. So this is because beta is a linear function of omega. So therefore omega will cancel and phase velocity is independent of omega, and therefore there is no dispersion happens in the case of a lossless transmission line. So now we discuss a low loss line. A low loss line means losses are there but the losses are very small. So R and G are present but they are very small. So that is the case. R is there and G is there. They are very small. So we can assume that R is very much less than omega L. R is a very small quantity and G is very much less than omega C. So now so this happens, we can see that from this expression itself, this low loss condition is satisfied when omega is high. When omega is high, omega L will be definitely greater than R. So these are satisfied at high frequencies generally. So now the propagation constant is root of R plus j omega L plus into root of G plus j omega C. So since R is very small compared to j omega L, so we can divide each term by j omega L. So j omega L can be taken out into 1 plus R by j omega L. And from this equation we can take j omega C outside. So 1 plus G by j omega C. So j omega L into j omega C is j square omega square LC. So root of that is j omega root LC. So multiplied by 1 plus R by j omega L. So this is inside the root. So raised to half 1 plus G by j omega C raised to half. So since this quantity is very small, but we cannot neglect it, this is not 0. If x is very small, 1 plus x raised to half can be expanded as 1 plus half x according to binomial expansion. So similarly, we can expand this as j omega into root of LC 1 plus, so x is thus half x. So R by 2 j omega L, half is there, into 1 plus half into G by j omega C. So that is G by 2 j omega C. So this is an approximate value, and we know that this R by 2 j omega L is very small, since R is very much less than omega L, and G by 2 j omega C is very small since G is very much less than omega C for a low loss transmission line. So now cross multiplying this, we get j omega root LC 1 into 1 plus R by 2j omega L plus G by 2j omega C plus R into G into 4j square omega square LC. So this quantity is the product of those two quantities, and these are very, very small, and therefore their product is very, very smaller than those two values, and therefore we can almost neglect it since this is the product of very small quantities, and we can approximate it as 0. So we get, so this term is not there. We have, this is approximately equal to j omega root LC into 1 plus. So here 2j, so this term is not there. 1 over 2j omega is a constant. R by L plus G by C. So this is the propagation constant, that is equal to j omega root LC. So multiplying this, we get j omega cancel, root LC by 2 into R by L plus G by C. So this is gamma, and gamma is equal to alpha plus j beta. So from this, the attenuation constant is found to be alpha is equal to root LC by 2 R by L plus G by C. So root L and L cancel, and we have here 1 over 2 R into root C by L plus G into root this C term cancels, and we have root L by C. So this is the attenuation constant. So now the phase constant is the imaginary part of this, that is approximately equal to, these are approximately equal because we have used binomial expansion here. So 1 plus x raised to half is approximately equal to 1 plus half x. So we have beta approximately equal to omega root LC. So it is an approximately a linear function of omega, not exactly a linear function of omega, but approximately a linear function of omega. Now the phase velocity up, which is equal to omega by beta. So since beta is approximately equal to omega root LC, the phase velocity is approximately equal to 1 over root LC. So it is approximately a constant, not exactly a constant. So now we have to find the characteristic impedance Z0. It is equal to root of R plus j omega L by G plus j omega C. Taking j omega L as a common factor from the numerator and j omega C as a common factor from the denominator, we get this j omega cancels, and we have root L by C into 1 plus R by j omega L raised to half, and this is in the denominator, so 1 plus G by j omega C raised to minus half, and we can use the binomial expansion. Then we get root of L by C into 1 plus R by 2j omega L into 1 minus G by 2j omega C. Minus happens because here we have raised to minus half. So cross multiplying, we get a root of L by C into 1 plus R by 2j omega L minus G by 2j omega C plus the product of this, which is very, very small, since these two quantities are very, very small. So since the product of this quantities is very smaller than this quantities, this can be approximated as 0, and we will have root L by C 1 plus R by 2j omega L minus G by 2j omega C. So from here we can take 1 over 2j omega as a constant, R by L minus G by C. So this is the intrinsic impedance. So real part of the intrinsic impedance is the resistance, and the imaginary part is when j go to the numerator, it is minus j into 1 over 2 omega root L by C into R by L minus G by C. So this acts as the resistance, characteristic resistance. So it is equal to root L by C, and the characteristic impedance, so these are approximately equal since we have applied binomial equations. So R approximately equal to root L by C, and X0, the intrinsic reactance, is approximately equal to minus root of L by C into 1 over 2 omega R by L minus G by C. So since R by L is very small and G by C is very small, and their difference is almost taken as approximated to 0. So these are the properties of a low loss transmission line. For a low loss transmission line, attenuation constant is there. Attenuation constant is not 0, but phase constant is approximately a linear function of omega. So for the phase velocity is also a constant, so as in a low C medium. And the characteristic impedance has got the resistance as well as the reactance part. But the reactance is approximately equal to 0. Now we discuss the third special case, a distortionless line. So a distortionless line is a transmission line which obey the condition R by L is equal to G by C. So when this condition is satisfied, the expression for the propagation constant is simplified, and the intrinsic impedance is also simplified, and we will see that why it is called a distortionless transmission line. So gamma is equal to R plus j omega L into G plus j omega C root. So we take G from here as R by L into C. So substituting, we get R plus j omega L into R by L into C. G is R by L into C plus j omega C. So now multiply the second term by L and divide it by L. So L by L into R by L plus j omega C. So multiplying it over L, we get R plus j omega L into 1 over L, and we multiply each term on the second term by L. We get L's cancelled, RC plus j omega LC. So from this C can be taken out, and we get C by L into R plus j omega L into R plus j omega L. So R plus j omega L square. So which is root c by L into r plus j omega L. So there is no root for r plus j omega L. So we can see that this is the propagation constant. So its real part is alpha and the imaginary part is beta. So alpha is equal to root c by L into r, and beta is equal to omega L into root c by L. So L and root L cancel, omega root L c, a linear function of omega. And therefore, the phase velocity up is equal to omega by beta. So, which is equal to omega by omega root L c, which is 1 over root L c. So, as a constant, so the phase velocity does not depend on omega, and here beta and phase velocity are same as for a lossless transmission line. So now we can calculate the characteristic impedance of the distortionless transmission line Z0. So Z0 is equal to root of r plus j omega L divided by g plus j omega c. So here g can be written as r by L into c. So r divided by r by L into c plus j omega c. So we can take c outside. So we have r plus j omega L by c into r by L plus j omega. So here we have to multiply the denominator by L by L. So this L will go to the numerator, and we have a root of L by c multiplied by r plus j omega L divided by r plus j omega L. So which is root L by c. So it's a constant and it is the real value. So the intrinsic impedance has got the real part, that is the intrinsic resistance. So R0 is equal to the real part of intrinsic impedance is root L by C. So this is a constant, and the reactance, intrinsic reactance, is the imaginary part of this. So that is 0. So these are the properties of a distortionless transmission line. So for a distortionless transmission line, the intrinsic impedance, phase velocity and beta are same as that of a lossless transmission line. The only difference is that alpha is non-zero. For a lossless transmission line, alpha is 0, but for a distortionless transmission line, alpha is not 0, but it is a constant that depends on R, C and L. Here the phase velocity is constant since beta is a linear function of omega and omega terms cancel over here. So phase velocity is a constant means all the frequency components travel with the same velocity. So since we have a signal that is usually consists of a band of frequencies, so if the phase velocity is a constant, then all the frequency components travel with the same velocity. So there will not be any distortion. So a distortionless transmission line has got no distortion. So a distortion is caused when UP, the phase velocity, is a function of omega, and when alpha is not a constant, alpha is also a function of omega. So when phase velocity is a function of omega, different frequency components travel with different velocity, so that causes a distortion in the signal shape.
So when the alpha is also not a constant, then different frequency components attenuate differently. So that also causes a distortion in the signal shape. So here phase velocity is not a function of omega in the case of distortionless transmission line, and alpha is not a function of omega. Alpha is also a constant. So therefore this transmission line which satisfy the condition R by L equal to G by C is called a distortionless transmission line. Since UP is not a function of omega and alpha is not a function of omega. And the properties of a distortionless line are same as that of a lossless transmission line, except that it has got a non-zero attenuation constant. Attenuation is there, but the attenuation constant is a constant for a distortionless transmission line. If the transmission line is a lossy line, then alpha will be a function of omega. And even if the phase velocity is a constant, distortion will occur since the different frequency component attenuate differently and there is a distortion in the signal shape. So, and generally for lossy transmission line, UP is also a function of omega and different frequency components travel with different velocity. So, there will be a distortion in the case of a lossy transmission line. So, for a lossy transmission line, this expression cannot be simplified and the imaginary part of this expression gives the a phase constant, and the phase constant is in general not a linear function of omega, and therefore the phase velocity is not independent of omega. So, the phase velocity depends on frequency. So, the different frequency components in the signal propagate along with different velocities. So, there will be a dispersion in the signal shape. And also alpha is not a constant in this case, and alpha is a function of omega, and therefore there is a distortion also. So we can say that a lossy transmission line is dispersive as a lossy dielectric. So dispersion is there in a lossy transmission line as that in a lossy dielectric medium. So this is because of the two reasons. Phase velocity is a function of omega and the attenuation constant is also a function of omega. So a lossy transmission line is as dispersive as a lossy dielectric. So this question was there in the last year's question paper. Show that a lossy transmission line is as dispersive as a lossy dielectric medium. So now we have seen that for the three special cases, the lossless transmission line, low loss transmission line, and distortionless transmission line, the phase velocity is independent of omega and alpha is a constant. So for all these transmission lines, all the three transmission lines, low loss, lossless and distortionless, dispersion is not there. They are non-dispersive in nature. But the lossy transmission lines are dispersive provided they do not satisfy the condition for the distortionless transmission line. So distortionless transmission line എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ലോസി തന്നെയാണ്, കാരണം അവിടെ ആറും ജിയും ഉണ്ട്, but they satisfy the relation R by L equal to G by C. So all the lossy transmission lines are dispersive provided they do not satisfy the condition R by L equal to G by C. So even though there is no dispersion, losses are there in the distortionless transmission line. We have seen that alpha is non-zero here. So there will be attenuation, but there is no dispersion. So that is the significance of distortionless transmission line. Okay, thank you.